everyone, how's it going? For today's video, I'm proud to present an up-close and personal, in-depth look at the Ferrari F12 Berlinetta. And this is going to be a detailed, in-depth review of the F12. We'll start it up, show the engine, get an exhaust clipping over the performance data, as well as show you a bunch of the unique aspects of both the interior as well as exterior. And before we begin, I'd like to extend a big thanks and special shout out to Foreign Cars Italia, Maserati, Aston Martin of Charlotte, North Carolina for providing the F12 Berlinetta featured in today's in-depth review. For more information on their inventory, check out foreigncarscharlotte.com. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and start her up, let her run. Now this light silver exterior is known as Argentino Nürburgring and comes paired nicely with an all-narrow or black interior with combination of supple leather and Alcantara. The Alcantara in the middle of the seats is diamond quilted, not to mention plenty of aluminum, color accent stitching, and carbon fiber found throughout. Starting the F12, like the 458, is a two-step process. First, take the key, go ahead and flip the vehicle's power on. Then, locate the bottom of the steering wheel the red engine start button. Just put your foot on the brake and hit the button to start. Steering inputs are fed through a hydraulically assisted speed proportional rack and pinion setup with a steering wheel and gauge cluster that incorporates Ferrari's human-machine interface approach. It places everything within the driver's immediate reach, from the indicators, wipers, and lights to the adaptive dampers, ignition, infotainment, and dynamic systems. The wheel also houses the driver's selectable Manatino switch in the bottom right that automatically adjusts the transmission shift protocols, adaptive dampers, rear electronic differential, traction, and the F1 stability system. While in its highest sport setting, the driver actually has more control and less innervation from the electronic systems, while it's the opposite for comfort and wet settings. With just 2 turns to lock and a tight ratio of 11.5 to 1, the F12 requires 32% less steering angle to respond. The steering wheel itself is accented in carbon fiber and heavily bolstered perforated leather, with accent cross-stitching as you go across the wheel and a flat-bottom race-inspired design. The upper portion of the wheel contains a strip of LED indicators that are synced up with the tachometer to let you know when to appropriately shift like you would find in an F1 vehicle. The F12 puts its insane power through the rear wheels via a specifically developed F1-inspired 7-speed dual-clutch automated manual rear-mounted transaxle with integrated electronic limited-slip differential. It features closer gear ratios than other Ferrari offerings calibrated to handle the extra power. Therefore, 7th gear is actually a direct gear, helping benefit top-line performance as opposed to being an overdriven gear for fuel economy. The improved design even allows for better weight distribution out back, which we'll highlight a little bit later in the video. Standard launch controls located in the central bridge via the PS button, aka Partenza Sportivo or Sport Departure in Italian. Activated via pressing the button, holding down the brake and pressing the accelerator, the car will hold its revs at 3,000 RPM before an aggressive takeoff with lightning-fast automatic shifts. In normal driving, you can shift the vehicle manually via the paddles mounted behind the steering wheel or automatically via the auto button in the central bridge. Another pretty cool optional feature is this digital display that's embedded in the dash in the passenger side portion, fully engaging them on what's going on with the various vehicle systems. You do have a trip computer with speed, average speed, travel distances, and the like, but it also is tied to the vehicle dynamics controller so they can see what's going on with the Mantino switch, not to mention what gear you're in, the RPMs, and the overall speed.
And so, we're going to flip on the automatic LED exit and by xenon headlamps, rear fog lamps, and the hazards. Of course, both windows are fully automatic. And we'll check out the exterior.
The F12 Berlinetta represents Ferrari's all-new two-seat Grand Touring flagship that replaced the 599 GTB for 2013. At its Geneva Motor Show launch in 2012 with an astounding 730 horsepower from a naturally aspirated V12, it represented the fastest and quickest production vehicle Ferrari had ever built, only recently eclipsed by the astounding LaFerrari. It even lapped Ferrari's Fiorano test track in 1 minute and 23 seconds, faster than any Ferrari before it and even 2 seconds quicker than the Enzo. The F12 is not only lighter than its predecessor, but is significantly smaller, while feeling more spacious with superior aerodynamics and downforce from the Pininfarina designed aluminum body. Compared to the 599, the F12 is 2 inches shorter in length with 1.2 inch shorter wheelbase. Width shrinks by a modest 0.7 inches, while height drops by a dramatic 2.5 inches, creating a low-slung cockpit with flowing rear deck and a long prominent hood. Even the center of gravity was lowered by an inch and pushed further back within the chassis. Front overhang has been lengthened by 2.6 inches to accommodate larger radiators, while the rear overhang is reduced by a measurable 3.2 inches. The newest adaptation of Ferrari's design language yields a fresh, aggressive, and seductive style led by aerodynamics. Up front, a wide-mouthed grille draws in air, while an air splitter in the lower fascia decreases underbody turbulence as it channels to the rear diffuser. A functional heat extractor in the hood draws out hot air and over the car, also helping lessen the impact of high-speed air on the windshield. If that's not enough, Ferrari's Aero Bridge uses the hood and fenders to channel air away from the upper portion of the car across the flanks, which meet with the wake of the wheel wells. This leads to an increase in downforce by 76% over the 599, generating as much as 271 pounds at 200 kilometers per hour or 124 miles an hour. Coefficient of drag was also notably improved, now a slippery 0.29. Further reducing drag are the brake cooling ducts up in the front fascia that automatically open at the lower edges, designed to funnel extra air to the carbon ceramic brakes in higher demand hot scenarios. Between the all-new aluminum space frame chassis and body shell, the F12 employs 12 different types of metal alloys, which also work well in decreasing weight and adding stiffness. Compared to the 599, the F12's structural rigidity has been beefed up by 20%, while weight decreases by 154 pounds to a total of just 3,594 pounds. 54% of that weight rides over the rear axle. Other improvements in weight distribution involve a number of revisions out back, making it more compact. The gears within the transaxle resides towards the rear of the unit, allowing the electronic differential and axle to sit about 2 inches closer to the rear bulkhead, allowing for the fuel tank to be repositioned. In addition to the electronic differential, the rest of the car's subsystems are integrated for superior handling, torque distribution, and response from the stability and F1 traction control systems. Systems such as the springs, dampers, yaw control, and auxiliary braking. Even though the F12's engine offers the same displacement as the FF, originally introduced for 2011, the F12 boasts 80 additional horsepower thanks to unique hardware and tuning. It's also more economical with significant reductions in emissions and a 30% improvement in fuel economy. Improving weight distribution even further is engine placement, which is 1.2 inches lower and more rearward than the 599. Out back, you can see some inspiration from the 599, such as the rear hatch, ducktail spoiler, and LED tail lamps. But the F12 style is a lot more bold in my opinion, a little bit less rounded for a taller, commanding stance even though the car is overall shorter. On top of each rear flank is an extra set of vents, enhancing the flow of air out back, and it's also a much cleaner design when compared to the sail panels found in the 599 C-pillars. Below the tail lamps, protruding lines extend out to create pronounced scallops above each set of dual multi-mode exhaust pipes. The center section flows underneath the fascia with an F1-inspired LED fog lamp and integrated backup camera before meeting into the robust rear diffuser. The F12 can be had with 2 different wheel styles and 6 finishes between them, from painted surfaces to forged diamond-turned units. These are the standard 20-inch silver painted alloy wheels wrapped in grippy Michelin Pilot Supersport tires, measuring 255/35 in front and 315/35 in the rear. The wheel and tire setup has been shown to pull nearly 1 G in lateral cornering forces. Taming all of that power is Ferrari's 3rd generation carbon ceramic Brembo braking system, which shaves about 20 pounds off your run-of-the-mill iron discs. Consisting of 15.7 by 1.3 inch cross-drilled rotors in front with 6-piston monoblock aluminum calipers, and 14.2 by 1.3 inch discs in the rear with 4-piston calipers. With this setup, the F12 stops some 60 miles an hour and around 106 feet. As far as the suspension, the F12 also features a double wishbone setup in front with lower L-arm and a multi-link setup in the rear. Controlling ride quality are revised magnetorological dampers that use magnetically charged fluid to alter viscosity within the damper, reacting in as little as 5 milliseconds to various road conditions. With a new twin solenoid design and revised ECU, the setup provides improved reaction times and more precise bump control for greater performance and overall comfort. Overall length for the F12 is 181.8 inches with a width of 76.5 inches and a height of 50.1 inches, running on a 107.1 inch wheelbase. Total curb weight, depending on how equipped, is between 35 and 3,800 pounds.
So we're going to pop the hood.
The F12 is powered by an all-aluminum 6.3-liter naturally aspirated V12, internally known as the F140FC. Attention to detail is phenomenal, making the engine a real visual highlight of the entire vehicle. From Ferrari's signature crackle-finished intakes to the available carbon fiber engine trim, when outfitted properly, it can be even more of a visual masterpiece. With 4 valves per cylinder, direct fuel injection, and double overhead camshafts, it achieves a high compression ratio of 13.5 to 1. It pumps out an impressive 730 horsepower at a lofty 8250 RPM and 509 pound-feet of torque at 6000 RPM, with a red line as high as 8700 RPM. 80% of the peak torque is available at just 2500 RPM. Bore and stroke ratio is 1.25, similar to what you would find in a racing engine. 0 to 60 times are a claimed 3.1 seconds, while 0 to 124 miles an hour or 0 to 200 kilometers an hour is achieved in 8.5 seconds with a top speed of over 211 miles an hour. Quarter mile times are likely to be in the neighborhood of 11 seconds at 130 miles an hour. While it is similar to the 6.3-liter engine found in the FF, the F12 receives a unique block without the front all-wheel drive output shaft, has a higher compression ratio, new camshafts, and unique intake plenums. As far as fuel economy, with a 23.76-gallon tank and required premium gas, expect the EPA estimated range between 12 miles to a gallon in the city and 16 on the highway. The F12 is as modern as a new Ferrari gets. Using technology and simplicity seen in the 458, it also benefits from improved fit, finish, and ergonomics. Like any other modern Ferrari, build quality and materials used throughout are top-notch, available in multiple colors, two-tone schemes, or the addition of Alcantara to the standard leather trim like we see in this particular example. That being said, everything that you touch and feel for the most part is wrapped in premium Poltrona faux leather with optional color accent stitching. In addition to aluminum splashed throughout, carbon fiber can also be had in various key areas. Across the curvaceous door, you have storage down below in addition to your trunk and fuel cap release, and not to mention side airbags. Continuing on throughout the interior, this particular vehicle has the optional diamond quilted seating surfaces. There's multiple seating varieties available in different leather patterns and styles, or the optional Alcantara. Carbon fiber shelled racing bucket seats are also available. All of your electric adjustments are located on the side, including 3-person memory, 4-way power lumbar adjustment, adjustable side bolstering, and heated seats. The seating detail is also something that really needs to be appreciated in person. The attention to detail is great with double-stitched accenting and plenty of accent stitching found throughout and highlighting a lot of the key subtle styling cues. The Ferrari logo is embossed on top of the fixed headrest, giving a little bit more of a race feel. aluminum Ferrari door sill entry guards, as well as a little bit of all-weather protection on the floor mats, in addition to aluminum drilled sport pedals. The steering wheel is power tilt telescoping, whereas the bottom of the dash and lower portion of the center console is all finished in the optional Alcantara. Electronic parking brake with auto hold feature, your power mirrors, lighting controls, and the driver dynamics controller, which we'll all cover a little bit later in the video. All of the air vents are finished in titanium and carbon fiber with a dash that's entirely wrapped out of leather. Finished off with an all-black headliner. For a little bit more cargo space inside the vehicle, you can pull the little strap to fold up the front seats. Once folded up, you'll see that the back of the seat is also leather-lined unless you have the carbon fiber shelled racing buckets. There's also coat hooks on the back of each headrest. In back, you have an Alcantara-lined parcel shelf with some cargo runners and leather luggage straps. There's also small storage pockets toward the bottom of the well.
So let's go ahead and see how she sounds. So let's go ahead and shut her up. Nice soft closing doors.
The F12 comes with a 12-speaker, 1280-watt JBL professional audio system with 7.1 channel Quantum Logic surround sound. In addition to satellite radio, it also features iPod USB integration, internet media app integration, voice activation, and Bluetooth technology.
Leather padded A-pillars, and the leather-lined headliner. The visors are leather wrapped on the outside portion, whereas the inner is the soft Alcantara with a small storage pocket. The rear view mirror is auto-dimming, with 3-position garage home link located right beneath. And on the top stack you have interior illumination, as well as reading lamps, parking sensors, lock and unlock, as well as the tow mode. Taking a closer look at the center stack, you have 3 air registers providing nice ventilation throughout the interior. Of course, the Ferrari logo in the middle, and your air vent opening and closing knobs located right beneath that. Off to the left-hand side, you have the controls to the front-end lift, as well as activating your rear-view camera. The commands for the mobile media system, which I'll show you in just a second, as well as the standard dual-zone, fully independent electronic automatic climate control. Temperature on either side, fan speed in the middle, as well as your different zones located on the smaller knobs. Across the floating center stack, like I showed you earlier, it's all wrapped in Alcantara, with a single cup holder in the middle here. Continue on back and you have an Alcantara-lined armrest with color accent stitching that flips up to a little bit of cargo space, a 12-volt power outlet, and your iPod integration. All of the media, entertainment, vehicle diagnostics, and status gauges are located within those 2 digital screens to either side of the central tachometer. They're also controlled via their little respective gauge pods located at either side of the steering wheel. Like I said earlier, all the media and entertainment is fed through the right-hand side controller, with this button that can go up, down, left, and right, and pushing in to select a particular option. This is your radio volume here set up, so you can personalize the options for like navigation, radio, select your iPod songs, etc. Back button, as well as turning on the main menu. This screen right here is the main menu. If you click the wheel up, you can go to navigation. Push the wheel in, and it brings up your destination entry, where you can then rotate the wheel to select a particular option. Hit the back button to go to the previous screen. Go to the right, that brings up your media. Shows the album artwork, song, artist information. If you push it down, you can control it, fast forward, rewind, change the track, and more. There's also hands-free Bluetooth streaming of audio, if you had a Bluetooth phone connected. Hit the setup screen, song list, search, repeat, scan, hit your basic iPod commands. Telephone in the very bottom, where you can pair it, voice dial, and more. Over to the left is your radio, including standard Sirius XM satellite radio. Then if you hit the setup, you can expand the channel list, store channels with your preset stations, and more.
The left-hand side controller corresponds to your vehicle diagnostics system, the dynamics controller, and pit speed, which refers to the vehicle's cruise control. It's also located in a little bit of a quadrant style setup. If you go on over to the setup, it also brings up all of your personalizable options. The right-hand side corresponds to your trip computer with travel and fuel data. You can adjust the screen's brightness via the up and down arrows in the controller. If we go back to our main menu and click down to the status screen, we have some auxiliary gauges such as our tire pressure and temperature monitoring system, a digital analog speedometer, vehicle temperature, oil pressure, and voltometer. But for further calibration of the vehicle settings, you need to go into the VDA screen where you can check lap times, top speed, go to the different dynamics controller via the Manettino switch, and check the ESC auto learning feature.
While it does take just a little bit to get used to, once you play with it for a while, it's actually a pretty cool design. And freed up the engineers to get really creative with the interior without having to embed screens or anything like that in the middle of the dash. Alrighty. We got shut her down. So let's go ahead and check out the rest of the vehicle, shall we?
Pop the F12's rear hatch and you'll find around 11.3 cubic feet of cargo space. You can also expand it by removing that little flap right there up to 17.7 cubic feet. It's lined in soft, deep pile carpet, plenty of illumination, as well as cargo tie-downs.
For the passenger seat, you also have the same power adjustments that you find in the driver's seat, only it doesn't have the 3-person memory. The padded glove box down below is electronically actuated, has a modest amount of space, lined in velour, and also illumination.
The F12 Berlinetta is designed to be the ultimate expression of a GT car. with 730 horsepower is certainly not short in performance, while the sumptuous interior is refined and comfortable for taller passengers. A stunning vehicle to behold that's bound to make a statement wherever it goes.
Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the up-close and personal in-depth look at the Ferrari F12 Berlinetta. Be sure to stay tuned next time, there's a lot more where that came from. Take care everybody.